Thank you, friend. Shabbat Shalom. Tisa, when you add. But a happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Isn't it wonderful that we have a holiday devoted to love? Why can't we just have that feeling every day? Feel the love, everyone. Love is all around, and love is everywhere. As the song by Me3 goes, love is calling all the time. It's in your soul, your heart and mind. It's been there waiting for you to find. It's what the world is truly made of. Share the love. Friends, four of the most amazing things occur in this parsha, but only one of them has truly stoked the imagination of people in a way that things like Noah's Ark, the Tower of Babel, the plagues in the Decalogue have. And that is the golden calf incident. But let's not jump ahead. In this parsha we have the Sabbath law, the tablets, that is the famous Ten Commandments, twice, the golden calf episode, and the shining face of Moses. Boy, that's a packed parsha. And it begins, interestingly enough, with God saying to Moses, when you add up the people by their counts, they will each give a ransom for his life. Pretty ominous. It starts with a fee per person, and it is the same regardless of the individual status, as long as the person is over the age of 20. And the amount to be given is a half shekel, as a donation to the Lord. The fee is to serve as an atonement for their lives, and the concept of atonement will take on much greater meaning as the Tanakh continues. Friends, censuses were considered negative things, and this parsha opens by calling for a census, and there will be more censuses called for later. The book of Numbers is census after census. And the reason that a census was considered such a negative thing was because a census gave a central leader control for conscription, for corvée labor, and for taxation. We all remember that a plague was released on the people when King David took a census, and so this call for a ransom is to avoid a plague. And the amount is a weight, and quite a small weight at that. The concept of the coin as fiat didn't exist yet for this people. But the underlying point was the equality everyone had before the Lord. Status, wealth, any of the dividing lines of our society were ignored for equality before God. Something, friends, that could never be taken away. We are then given two very famous formulas. The first for anointing oil and the second for incense. And they both have certain restrictions. The oil is to be used to anoint very specific things. The tent of meeting, which was the abode of God, and its furnishings, the ark, the table, the altar. And then it says, and you shall consecrate them, and they shall be holy of holies. Whoever touches them shall be consecrated. We talked last week, friends, how holiness is a contagion, and it spreads to whoever touches it. But we are filled instead with the image of whoever touches these dies. And that is something which is said later and dominates us, instead of the knowledge that the quality of being holy can spread. And friends, I'll hold that thought instead. The restrictions on the anointing oil and the incense is they were not allowed to be made or used by anyone else. As we're told in Exodus 30:32, it shall not be poured on human flesh, and you shall not make anything else like it in its quantities. It is a holy thing. It shall be a holy thing to you. We then have an artist named to do the work for God, and this speaks to how important artistry and creativity are to imitating God. The same language is used for the fashioning of the tabernacle as is used in the creation story. Being creative is the ultimate imitatio Dei. And we have the irony that immediately thereafter the incident with the golden calf takes place. And friends, the relationship between the artist and the art is conveyed as Aaron makes the calf, but then tells Moses that it came to be by itself when he says, I threw it in the fire, and the calf came out. And then, friends, one of the most important events, not just in this parsha, but in the entire Torah, takes place when God says, and you, speak to the children of Israel, saying, just you shall observe my Sabbaths, because it is a sign between me and you through your generations, to know that I, the Lord, make you holy. Friends, the emphasis on the Sabbath will be repeated many, many times in the Torah. It is singled out of all of the commandments. And later in the season, we will devote an entire talk to the Sabbath. It is a sign. Just as the Noahic covenant is the rainbow and the Abrahamic covenant is circumcision, so the sign of the Israelite covenant is the Sabbath. And the Israelite is he who struggles with God. It is a name, not a location. As do we all struggle with God. And it is what makes us holy, for it is the ultimate observance of sacred time, one of the few things created on that first day. And our observance of Sabbath is our closest direct imitation of God, and its violation carries an extreme punishment. Breaking the other commandments does not result in death. Breaking this one does, because it is the closest to creation, and therefore the closest to being godlike. It is the doorway that makes us holy. Time is sacred, my friends. It creates that moment of sacred space in your life. And time is the only thing you can't replace. It was the commandment that bridged those between the deity and those between man. And God then says, between me and the children of Israel it is a sign forever. Because for 6 days the Lord made the skies and the earth, and in the seventh day he ceased and was refreshed. And friends, it's the use of the word refreshed that's so fascinating. It's a verb that only occurs twice. Here, referring to God's Sabbath rest, and earlier in Exodus 23:12, where it talks of the Sabbath rest of your maid's son and the alien. The connection between God and the son of a slave or servant and an alien are astounding, as is the continued emphasis which you will see on the rights of the slave and the alien throughout the entire writings. Humans are to cease on Sabbath because God ceased creation on the Sabbath. And every human can participate in the same divine action. And friends, you can't cease and still require your servant to work. And this is something ignored far too often. God's love of man allows man to be godlike. We are surrounded by signs of love on this holiday of love. We need to take advantage of it. Would you believe in a love at first sight? Yes, I'm certain that it happens all the time. What do you see when you turn out the light? I can't tell you, but I know it's mine. We all know this immortal verse, and we all know we need a little help from our friends, and we must be prepared to also help our friends. Moses then comes down off the mountain, sees the golden calf, gets upset, smashes the tablets, argues with God, who's now thinking of just killing everybody and starting again. Gets a new set of tablets, and now has such a shining face from being in the presence of God that he has to wear a mask. In future Devarim, we will examine each one of these incidents on their own, for they are all worthy of study, of analysis, of introspection, of lessons. But remember, friends, for many, the highlights of this parsha is the golden calf story. And what began as a golden image fashioned by Aaron and worshipped by the Israelites has become the pursuit or idolization of wealth or money as an object of worship on its own. Isn't it time this intense veneration cease? Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. little darling. It feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I say, it's all right. Shabbat Shalom.